Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're watching this right now, you need to understand something important. What happened tonight in the UAE wasn't just another tennis match. Yes, technically it was a WTA 1000 event. Yes, it was an early round clash, but what we witnessed was a cultural earthquake. And no, that headline wasn't clickbait. Dubai, a city synonymous with luxury, skyscrapers, and hosting the global elite, just experienced something it wasn't fully prepared for. A good shock, the kind that forces an entire sport to pause and pay attention. We're talking about the Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships, one of the premier stops on the women's tour. Typically, early rounds here are composed and refined, corporate boxes filled, VIP lounges active, polite applause echoing around a half-settled crowd. It's civilized, controlled, traditional tennis energy. But tonight, the rule book got ripped up. The stadium didn't sound like a tennis venue. It sounded like a rock concert. It sounded like a football final. It sounded alive. And it was all because of one name, Alexandra Eala. The 20-year-old phenom turned Dubai's hard courts into her personal kingdom. Reports from inside the venue were staggering. Veteran journalists, tournament officials, even rival players looking around in disbelief. Thousands packed into the arena. And they weren't just neutral tennis fans. They were her people. The Filipino community in the UAE. Massive, passionate, deeply connected, mobilized in a way you rarely see in individual sports. What should have been an away match felt like a home tie. What should have been a routine early round contest felt like a championship final. This isn't a prediction anymore. The Eala era isn't coming. It's here. For 2 years, we've been tracking the rise. Her development at the Rafael Nadal Academy, her breakthrough performances in 2025, her steady climb in the rankings. The whispers were growing louder. Tonight, they became a roar. When Ella walked onto court to face Hailey Baptiste, the decibel levels reportedly hit figures usually reserved for legends in their prime. Players like Roger Federer or Rafael Nadal. Philippine flags were everywhere, the sun and 3 stars waving from railings painted across faces draped over shoulders. The chants of Alex, Alex, Alex were rhythmic, relentless, deafening. And here's the key context. This matters because women's tennis has been searching for its next undeniable cultural magnet in the post-Serena Williams era. The current champions are phenomenal. Iga Swiatek is clinical and dominant. Aryna Sabalenka is explosive and powerful, but who pulls in people who've never watched tennis before? Who makes someone buy a ticket without knowing the draw? Who makes fans line up for hours just to feel part of the moment? That's the question. And tonight in Dubai, Alexandra Eala started answering it. Tonight, Alexandra Eala answered the question. She's not just a promising talent anymore. She's a phenomenon. Here's the breaking news. She's through to the round of 32 at the Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships. But the way it happened, dramatic, messy, and revealing. Ella took the first set against Hailey Baptiste 6-4. It was a grind, a real physical chess match. She had to dig out of an early deficit, disrupt Baptiste's timing, carve the court open with that heavy lefty forehand, and absorb, then amplify the wild energy coming from the stands. This wasn't a comfortable win. It was earned. Then came the second set twist with Ella leading 1-0. Baptiste, visibly struggling with an abdominal injury, was forced to retire. On paper, it's an anticlimactic ending. In reality, what followed was anything but. Normally, a retirement drains a stadium. The buzz fades. Fans trickle out. The moment dissolves. Not here. When the umpire announced, game, set, match, Ella. The stadium detonated. The reaction wasn't polite applause. It was thunder. It sounded like someone had just lifted the Wimbledon trophy.
Pause on that.
This was a second-round match, and the crowd response rivaled a Grand Slam final. That's the scale of support we're talking about. Tournament organizers are adjusting in real time. More security, larger courts, crowd management plans shifting around one player's schedule. That's not routine logistics, that's impact. People throw around the term rock star effect casually. But this qualifies fans reaching over barriers just to get closer. Chants during changeovers. Security visibly stretched trying to manage autograph requests. It's not just popularity, it's movement energy. The kind of collective surge you associate with cultural moments, not early round tennis. And the establishment feels it. Next up for Ella is world number 8 Jasmine Paolini, and she's already acknowledged what's happening, calling Ella huge for tennis, but she also admitted something significant. For a player ranked around 40 in the world, the atmosphere is unlike anything she's encountered. That's the shift. When a top 10 player walks into a round of 32 match and expects a Grand Slam level crowd, not because it's a final, but because of who's on the other side of the net, something has changed. Even tournament director Celotic has publicly recognized the strength of the Filipino support base. This isn't just about one match advancing via retirement. It's about gravity. Ella is bending the atmosphere of events around her. And if this is what round of 32 looks like, imagine what happens if she makes a deep run. Dubai didn't just host a match tonight. IT felt the beginning of something bigger. What makes this moment different? What makes it sustainable is the infrastructure behind it. Everyone keeps saying a lot of fans showed up. That's technically true, but it doesn't explain the vibe. To understand what happened at the Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships, you have to understand who filled those seats and why this tournament became ground zero for the ILA surge. Dubai isn't just another tour stop. It's a global crossroads, and at the center of its workforce is a massive Filipino expatriate community, nearly 1 million people across the UAE. In many ways, they are the operational backbone of the country. Service industries, healthcare, aviation, engineering, retail, including thousands of employees at Dubai Duty Free itself. For decades, that community has consumed global sport from the sidelines, tuning into the NBA, rallying around boxing nights, celebrating when Manny Pacquiao stepped into the ring and made the world pause. But tennis often felt distant, European, elite, a polished country club sport that didn't feel accessible or representative. Alexandra Eala changed that equation. She didn't just arrive as a talented left-hander with clean technique and academy credentials from the Rafael Nadal Academy. She arrived as representation. That's the psychological engine behind this phenomenon. When those fans walked into the stadium in Dubai, they weren't just buying a ticket to a WTA match. They were investing in visibility, in pride, in the idea that someone who looks like them, speaks like them, carries their flag, can stand on one of the sport's biggest stages and belong. That creates something different from casual fandom. It creates ownership, and ownership changes behavior. You don't clap politely when you feel ownership. You roar. You don't leave after retirement. You celebrate like history was made. You don't treat it like a Tuesday qualifier. You treat it like a national event. That's why Dubai became the flashpoint, because the infrastructure was already there. A dense, organized Filipino community, accessible ticket pricing compared to Grand Slams, a major WTA 1000 stage, a rising star ranked high enough to be credible, young enough to feel limitless. It was the perfect storm. And here's where the financial implications come in. The WTA has been searching for new growth markets. Southeast Asia is massive. The Middle East is investing heavily in global sport. When one player can reliably guarantee capacity crowds, merchandise sales, broadcast spikes, and sponsor visibility, that's not just a feel-good story. That's leverage. If this momentum holds, Ella doesn't just become a player to watch. She becomes a commercial engine. Now look ahead. Next up, world number 8, Jasmine Paolini, a top 10 opponent, a legitimate test. And if tonight felt loud, the next match could feel seismic. Because now it's not curiosity, it's belief. The Yele era isn't hypothetical anymore. It's measurable in decibels, in ticket scans, in social engagement, in security briefings. The tennis world has officially been put on notice. This isn't just a talented 20-year-old winning matches. It's a community discovering its power inside a global sport. And that kind of energy, it doesn't disappear quietly. They weren't just watching a tennis player. They were watching their own story play out on a global stage. A young woman leaving home, building herself abroad, grinding, fighting for space, refusing to shrink. That narrative resonates deeply within the Filipino diaspora in the UAE. It's familiar. It's lived experience. And that's why the connection feels different. This isn't casual support, it's identification. When Alexandra Eala steps on court, the crowd isn't tracking her unforced error count or debating first serve percentages. They're emotionally synchronized with her. When she missed a first serve against Hailey Baptiste, a collective groan rolled through the stadium, not frustration, but shared anxiety. And when she ripped that cross-court lefty forehand to break serve in the first set, it wasn't just applause, it was release. That's not a typical early round atmosphere at the Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships. Organizers are accustomed to measured reactions, polite clapping, respectful murmurs, maybe a standing ovation in a late-round thriller. What they experienced here was raw, emotional participation. And they weren't ready for it. But let's step back from the spectacle and talk about the tennis itself. Because this wasn't some soft draw. Baptiste is ranked just above Eala. Powerful, athletic, dangerous off both wings. On paper, this match was a coin flip. The first set reflected that. Eala started slow and honestly, who wouldn't under that weight of expectation? The noise, the flags, the cameras, the pressure of carrying a community's hope. She fell behind 1-2 early a year ago. Maybe she presses. Maybe she rushes. Maybe she tries to hit her way out of tension. But this version of Eala,